talk. I'm Andrew, or for some of you know me by Drew Durham. I'm the Associate Director of the Indiana Township Association, as well as I am the trustee of Center Township in Howard County, Indiana. A couple things before we talk about the live streaming requirements that of the law that goes into effect in July. I just want to touch on a couple things that are upcoming and some things with the State Board of Accounts. If you guys haven't noticed or you haven't attended since last year, the State Board of Accounts has released their state called meetings. You have to go once every 2 years, and the trustees must attend. Last time I looked, and me and Debbie both spoke with the State Board of Accounts yesterday. By my count, we had about 743 township trustees that must attend this year. There's multiple locations across the state, so it's not just in Fishers or Indianapolis. On the next slide, I'll show you here. You can see where the different ones and the different dates. If you, for some reason, can't make the date and you're closest to your area, you're welcome to attend any of the state meetings across the state. This link here, which will be in the PowerPoint that I will have uploaded to our member center, you can go on there and check. But if you just Google search State Board of Accounts called meetings and then click on townships, you can see if your attendance last year was counted. I asked Jonathan and Tanner from the State Board of Accounts, is it possible that anybody would have attended and not been on that list? And they said very unlikely, because you are supposed to pre-register and get a QR code that certifies your attendance. So if you would have an issue that you were there last year and it's saying you're not, you're going to have to reach out to them. We have nothing to do with it. We just want to make sure all our members know. There's a bulk of us out there that have not attended it. Make sure you get to those meetings this year. Here is a list of the dates and the locations. So April 2nd, they have a meeting in Madison, Indiana. April 8th, they have a meeting at Vincennes University in Vincennes, Indiana. April 16th, they have a meeting in Fort Wayne, Indiana at Ivy Tech. April 23rd, they have a meeting in LaPorte, Indiana. And then on April 30th, they have their last meeting in Fishers at the Delaware Township Community Center. Make sure you get there. You don't want to be put on the list saying you're not compliant for not attending the state meetings. They usually have updates. You're more than welcome to go to the meeting every year, but you're only required to go once every 2 years. Anybody got any questions on that? Kind of we're going through different topics.
Is it going to be the same topics?
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Is it going to be the same topics as normal?
It should be, but things could change as far as, from last year. If anything is changing on their procedural, I don't know exactly what they'll be presenting. But I'm sure they'll talk about the live streaming, even though they're not giving us a true opinion on it. And I asked some questions to them. I said, hey, can you guys address the training requirements that was on our gateway this year? Because we've gotten a lot of questions at ITA. So I'm sure it could be slightly different from year to year, just because they may have something to update the townships about. So even if you've already attended and you want to get the information, they always post their PowerPoints on their website. So you should be able to go and get those materials if you want to see if anything's changed and you're already in compliance with them as far as attendance. The next thing I want to talk about is that we are hosting a township assistance training on May 7th, starting at 8:30. This is an in-person training in Fishers. Debbie is going to be quarterbacking this one to go in depth on the process of interviewing, casework, and all the stuff that goes with that. It's open to trustees, clerks, investigators, anybody you think that you could find beneficial. We are limited to space, so that one usually goes up because townships will bring their investigators or anybody that helps them in that process. So if you're going to get that is actually live right now. It's $100. If you had already paid for the trainings for the year, you're covered. We'll register yourself. I know we had about 10 to 15 people that paid for all quarterly trainings in 2025. So if you're wanting to get to this, go ahead and sign up. That way we can make sure we have enough space for everybody. And then as we get closer to May, we'll start building out our agenda for that meeting. But it's basically going to go over the township assistance process, anything that goes with that. We're jumping in, so excuse me here. I think I'm the only one that can allow them in, so pops up on me every time I start clicking. So the main topic today that we wanted to talk about is the live streaming of township board meetings. Obviously, this rule goes in effect July 1st of 2025. The supporting IC code for that law is IC 5-14-1.5-2.9. It's all local governments that must stream their public meetings. So it's not just townships. It's, it's the county, it's the city, it's the schools, I'm sure the libraries are included this. Anybody that are local government that have public hearings that have to live stream it will record it. I just want to show example. We get a lot of questions at ITA. We've reached out to the State Board of Accounts. We've reached out to the public access counselor, who was Luke Britt, who just resigned. So we have not got a lot of oversight as far as the public access issues or recommendations for these meetings. So a lot of what we're going to talk about today is more going to be just best practices and what we can do to try to get ahead of it, because unfortunately they laid out a law. Nobody really gave us any insight of what we need to do as townships, because obviously, as far as the pecking order of governments, we're not city. We're not going to go, not saying you can't use a public access station to record your meetings, but some of us don't have the financial means to do those things. So we're going to talk about a couple ways you can do it. And the most thing we have to keep in mind is that it has to be accessible and easy to use. So if we're going to use it, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or Zoom or Livestream or Ustream or anything that's out there, we've got to make sure people can get into it and watch it without having, Facebook's kind of tricky, because typically on Facebook, you have to have a Facebook account. YouTube, you can watch usually as a guest. You don't have to necessarily log in to see things. So personally, in my township, we're trying out YouTube Live for us to live stream and archive our meetings. Zoom might be tricky because anybody can join a Zoom meeting, but you're going to have to make sure that you post the link somewhere that people can find. So, Zoom, Microsoft Teams is similar to Zoom, WebEx. I'm sorry, my computer is going nuts. And then make sure, some people say you can host it on your township website if you have something, if you have a platform or a website where it's more advanced. I'm not familiar with it. So we're, I'm trying out the things that are the easiest for me to use on a daily basis, and YouTube and Facebook are probably the first things, but we'll have to keep in mind, Facebook may have you log in to have access to that public meeting just to watch it live. Equipment needed for live streaming. These are questions that we get a lot. Honestly, I think you can go from the basic things like a smartphone or a tablet. There is no rules on how quality it has to be as far as your video or your microphone. No, nobody said, hey, we need to have, HD quality video and crisp microphones. So if you're trying to do a bare bones minimum and make sure that you're in compliance, use your phone. You can usually use YouTube Live on your phone or Facebook Live on your phone and go live just like on social media, and you can record the meeting that way. So if that's your goal, that's probably the most economically friendly version of how we could do this. But it's going to be on your phone, so you're going to have storage space and stuff like that if you're going to download the video for that, as far as you streaming your video. You can get fancy and make a tripod so that your videos are stable and stuff like that. But these here are just some tips of different things. Obviously, if you have a large meeting, you can have a laptop stream it. We use an OWL camera, and I'll go back to a previous clip and kind of show you what we do. It is very wonky. We use it. It actually picks up everybody in the room, but it also shows everybody at the same time. So when I play that video and go back, you'll see what I'm talking about. And what we're doing is kind of just testing it out. I told my board last year that, hey, starting in January with our first meeting, we're going to just start recording. It's not required of us to do that right now, but I'd rather get some kinks out and figure out, hey, is this working? Do we need to try a different setup before we actually get to where it's, July 1st and it's required for us to do it. So personally, in Center Township, we have a live YouTube page where we stream our meetings. You can go back and watch them if you missed the meeting. But honestly, the best thing for everybody to do is going to be try it before we get to July 1st. You can buy webcams that are stationary for your laptop. You can use the camera on your laptop, just like you would if you're in Zoom. Most laptops have a rear-facing camera. If not, you could turn it around like you were sitting at your computer and face the trustee and the board and record it that way. Microphones, if people really want to get into the production level of how good it sounds or the quality of it, you can get a USB microphone that you can plug into your laptop. I have one at home for another purpose. I do some podcasting, and I have a USB microphone that I can plug in to my laptop, and it is a little crisper and it takes out some of that noise cancellation or that static noise in the background, but it's not necessary for you guys to have to buy these. Advanced setup, a pan tilt zoom camera, you can move it around the room if you wanted to. The camera we use kind of does it on its own. It'll follow whoever's speaking. So it's more or less just for us to get every person who's talking on the camera instead of just a stationary view. Those kind of cameras are going to get in the $500, $600 range, but there's nobody saying that I have to have that camera. And past the advanced setup, like I said, I had a township call into ITA and ask us, could they use their public access station to record their meetings? If it's reasonable within your budget, there's no reason you can't. In my community, I just thought maybe we could do it in-house and not have to worry about it. I do know a lot of other trustees that are kind of trying to combine with local towns and here so that they can have their board meetings at a centralized place and all use the same equipment. So that might be something to consider in your community. Is there other trustees or other, smaller entities like towns that could let us use space? You don't have to host your board meeting technically at your township building or your township community center or anything like that. So if you can collaborate with the local entity and say, hey, can we pay you X amount of dollars, a couple $100 a year to come do our meetings? Because, a lot of us townships, we're only required to have the 4 meetings a year. So outside of that, you're looking at best, unless you're doing monthly meetings, you don't have that much, you're not taking up that much time that other entity's space to have the whole board meeting. Internet and technical requirements. Obviously, you want to make sure you have a stable internet connection. I know on my own personal township reporting we did the second time at our annual report, I noticed that our video was kind of fuzzy, but we have 2 buildings in my office and we were connected to the wrong internet. So it was kind of not the greatest quality of video and it was kind of glitchy, but it was, you want to make sure your internet's stable. There's a couple apps you can use to test your streaming and your internet speed. Speedtest.net is one that I use all the time. I've got little kids that have iPads that watch YouTube, and they're always like, our internet's not good. And I'm like, trust me, the internet's good. You just need to get off iPad. But you can use it. It's a free app. You just hit go on it, and it'll show you how fast it is. And I think there's another option to see your capability of streaming on there too as well. You can provide captions. YouTube does auto captions. That way, if your microphone or if the laptop happens to be away a little bit from your, where you're stationed at, from where your board or your trustee sits, it may be hard to hear every person depending on the volume, the natural volume of their voice. So you could put captions on there. or turn it on whatever streaming platform that you use, so that they can pick up what they're saying if they want to, or if we have the people that are hearing impaired and can't, then you would read it to be able to hear or to
Hey,
understand.
Drew, we have a couple of questions if I might interrupt.
Yeah.
Did you say we must video or audio, or is audio sufficient?
It has to be video. So we have to have video. Audio is not sufficient. So we at the minimum standard, if you don't have internet quality to live stream, you are to record and maintain those video recordings for 90 days and have them somewhere accessible to the public.
Okay. And has there been any guidance from IoT? I have seen trends of hackers getting into the meeting because it's open to everyone and taking over the meeting.
When I spoke to Brett or the IoT office at our September conference, they really have no oversight of this law. It may be something that we can ask them. I mean, especially if you get into the things like YouTube and Facebook, you may get some bots or whatever they call them, where people just randomly get on your live stream and start, soliciting whatever it may be. But I've not heard anything directly from the IoT office. So it's something that we could take to them, but I don't know how we would actively, unless you have somebody designated to remove people from your live stream, how you would control that, I guess. But video is required. We can't just upload recordings. So if your internet connection is not bad, even on my laptop, like if I don't have internet connection, I have a camera or a video recorder where I can record the meeting and upload it later. There you go. Anything else, Evan?
That's it.
Thank you. If I keep going, just let me know. I can't see half the stuff, so I'm just through the slides. It's almost like you're talking to yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
The last thing that I want to talk about, I know I'm kind of breezing through this, but honestly, guys, like we want to make sure we can try to help you the most we can, but we're really limited on our resources of what is out there and who's giving us guidance. So we get questions from our members and we take them back to whoever we can, whether it's the State Board of Accounts, they're more or less just going to care if you're complying with the law and you're recording and uploading your videos, and that's all they're going to stance on. They're not going to tell you what you have to use, what camera setup you have to use, any of that. They're not going to have an opinion on. We hope for the public access counselor, they could give us some guidance on transparency and compliance, because you are having a public meeting just like you would without the camera. So we have to be aware of those things that we have to already do for public or Indiana open door law and public access. So I did find through some of the things that the State Board of Accounts were posting or had in their presentations that we must post the link on our notices now. So, we had to post our meeting notices 48 hours in advance. You would put your hyperlink and copy and paste it on to your notice, and then put that there. Yes, they'll have to physically type that out, but we can say there's a link here to watch a live transmission or recording of this video. A thing we could do if you have a website or social media is to post note, hey, we have a meeting, watch here, whatever language you want to put for the meeting, so that people know it's coming up, just like if you would with a physical notice of a township public board meeting. So if you have Facebook, put it there. It's just helping people find it more or less than, our actual standard paper, putting it up in two visible places within our township. Keep recordings, obviously, archived for at least 90 days. I'm going to double check with that question, because I seen that, and I don't know if after 90 days, if we're allowed to purge those things. It's going to be more of I don't know if it's a records retention or if it's a public access thing. I would think that we would want the meetings longer than that, but maybe we don't have to keep them past that 90-day window. So it'd be something to, think about on your timing. Hey, my January, 2nd meeting, or, my January 5th meeting is outside that 90-day windows, can we go ahead and take it off our page or our YouTube account? But it says if live streaming isn't possible, and that's where that 90 days is. Or I gotta get a better understanding. Is that just for recorded meetings, or is that all meetings? Because when you live stream, typically it records it anyway, so it's not just like you're live and then it disappears once it's over.
All I have to do is go start
Okay.
video.
Can you all please mute? We've got some bleed through here. Sorry.
And then the biggest thing is just to ensure open public access. I don't think a lot of our meetings are going to be thrilling. We don't have a lot of public at our meetings typically, unless there's an issue in your township or something that they're wanting to hear about. But we know how these meetings are. It's not going to be very entertaining, but it does give people that aren't able to get to your meetings at least see what's going on in your township. And you could say, hey, all our meetings are public. If you're not able to attend, you can see our live stream, or you could see what we talked about at our last meeting. So it just gives us another tool to say, let them know that we are, holding these meetings and what's talked about in these meetings. Questions are things I want people to keep in mind, and this is just from watching city council meetings, is that we don't really have like school boards have work sessions where they basically work out everything and talk about everything before they meet for their actual board meeting. Sessions are always open to the public, but people typically don't go to those work sessions. They usually show up for the board meeting. So I was thinking, when I was talking to my board, I was like, we're going to have some issues. We got to make sure when your meeting ends that you're not continuing business. Don't be deceptive and turn off your live stream when there's something else you want to talk about. The only things that we don't have to talk about to the public are if it comes matters of employment. Am I right? That'd be like an executive session.
Yeah, but there are posting requirements to have an executive session, and so forth. So you'd have to adhere to all that.
Yeah. So we're just giving you what we advise for now, because nobody's given us advice. And I know we have a lot of members that have questions, so we understand, and we're going to keep trying to get more clarity on it. But I think as a basics, one, try it out before July 1st. Don't go into, not that anybody has a meeting on July 1st. Don't go into your budget meetings as your first recording and say, okay, let's see if we can get this, and it doesn't work for you. And then you're scrambling because now it's an active law, or it's an active law. So my advice would be try it out. If you have a meeting between now and July, give it a shot. If you have it on there, what's the worst? We're just have a meeting on there. Ours are live. You can go back and watch it. And I tell my local newspapers, I'm like, hey, if you can't make it, our meetings are live on YouTube. You can go back. If you have any questions, just give me a call.
Hey, Drew, I'm
ma'am.
sorry. Where are you posting the streaming link? We have no township website or Facebook page. Ideas?
So the posting the meeting link on your website or your Facebook is just public transparent. If you don't have it, and I'm not saying create a website by any means. You need to post it on your notice though. The State Board of Accounts, I don't know where I found it at, but one of their presentations says it needs to be posted on our notice of our notice of board meetings. So when you have to post that paper on your door or your library or your courthouse or wherever you're putting your notices at, you need to put the link in there. Just type it. So if it's
Okay. Drew, this is a comment from Jane. When this law came into effect at an ITA conference, SBOA told us audio was okay and keep for 30 days. We have very sketchy internet in our rural areas. I thought there were some exceptions in this law.
from my understanding, and give me just a second, I'm gonna pull up their presentation.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding, I've never seen that audio was an option. But if I'm wrong, then let me double check here and we can get. So they said at the fall conference, but they usually post it.
Okay, Casey has posted something here. And Casey, can you get on your mic and tell us where you got this? It says if a governing
Yeah,
body
sure.
does not, oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
that's directly from the law. It's under under Title V. So that's exactly what it provides. So I guess my opinion would be here that it doesn't say that you're audio only. It just says that it has to be recorded and retained if you don't have the internet capability.
Yeah, and that's how I understood it. They
Yeah.
didn't define it as audio. We can ask for you guys if that will suffice, and we can send out a message. But my understanding was just a recorded video, and then upload it later. So that to me was where I understood it. I didn't see anything from the meetings that they had last year that they said audio was accepted. So if that's the case, I can easily send Jonathan or Tanner a message and see if they can tell me if audio only is allowed. I understand that some people may not have the capability for video, but and I think they think at best everybody has a cell phone, so that somebody within the 4 people, 3 board members and your trustee should be able to record it on their phone and then post it somewhere, archive it somewhere. That would be the trickier part, is if you can't, where would you archive those meetings? And we'll have to find, I don't know of anything particular. You could probably, if you don't have a website, you're not going to have anywhere to put it on the website. So you're going to have to find some centralized place to put your meeting so people can access it.
Can they sorry. Can they live stream on their Facebook page?
I haven't been told no, and I asked, at least State Board of Accounts, we didn't really get an opinion from public access. I would test it to see if you need to be logged in, because Facebook is an account-based system. You typically can't see anything on Facebook without having your own log. I don't think it's not possible, but I'm just not 100% sure of the access to it, because yes, most people have Facebook in this day of age, but if they don't, then they can't watch the meeting. That would be my only concern. But it doesn't try it. Or I would ask public access counselor question, but we chose to use YouTube over Facebook because of that.
Okay. Here's advice. I would not use a personal cell device. It's subject to subpoena in case of a lawsuit. That is absolutely true. And I've heard that Facebook, if it is linked to your personal account, then your personal account can be subject to retention laws. Like you wouldn't be able to delete or block or whatever. That's just, and I don't know if the trustee that shared this with me is on the line, but I guess this actually went to court. So I know I need to try to figure out more information on that, but can anyone?
Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook.
To have a standalone page for your township.
Which you have to have a personal page in order to have a business page, is my understanding. So
I mean, just gotta keep that in mind if you're doing that, I guess. But I know we do it, but I have multiple people that can moderate it. So
I know I've been warned not to put not to share things from your township Facebook to your personal page. That then I know. I saw your face, Drew. I know. This is part of that court case, and I've got to track down. I think it's in an email. I'll look for it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I was gonna try to play a video this is just for my township. This is awful. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's boring, but this is just what we're using, and its quality is not great. It's just what we think is suffices for our own township. Can you see that window, Debbie?
The window?
Can you see my?
No, we can't see it.
I see, it says, it's your PowerPoint, is all we see. I think you have to stop sharing that, yeah.
That's,
Okay. Oh, that's different.
It's
Drew,
still just your PowerPoint.
are you still with us? Are you freezing? Uh-oh. Drew? Can someone respond? Is the screen frozen for you all with Drew?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
It is.
Okay. I'm wondering if we're having a bandwidth sort of problem, and maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I've heard other people say, please turn off all video. Ever heard of that? I don't know. Okay, Anthony, are you there?
can you make Debbie the host? Are you?
I'm here.
Okay. Are you able to start the PowerPoint back, or do you know what happened to Drew?
Drew is currently logging back in.
Okay. Everybody just hang tight, I guess.
Hey, Debbie, I'm the one that sent you the information on Facebook and what happened with our mayor. If you want me to talk about that, I can.
Stu?
Yeah, so our mayor had gotten a friend request from somebody out of state and he didn't accept it. And then that guy filed a civil suit against him because he was sharing city information on his personal Facebook page. And the guy was saying because of him sharing the city information on his personal page, that he should be allowed to become his friend. And he filed the civil suit and won. And so the mayor either had to accept that friend request or delete his Facebook page until he's out of office. And that's what happened with that. And the guy doesn't
Wow.
even live, I think he lives in California.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big ordeal. And so our mayor no longer has a personal Facebook page because he's not going to friend him out of,
Mm-hmm.
personal reasons. And so he just undone his Facebook page, his personal one, and he said he'll take it back up when he's out of office.
Well, thanks, Lydia. Obviously, I had some of the wires crossed, but the gist is, I guess we need to exercise caution with our personal Facebook pages unless we want to accept anybody being on there.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Anthony?
Hey, Debbie, I'm
Yeah.
trying to restart my computer. It completely
Oh.
crashed out on me, so I
Oh,
apologize.
boy. Okay.
I couldn't do I can't task manager and close any apps. It just seized up on me. So,
Okay.
the Facebook thing, that'd be hard to believe because I know people that have personal Facebooks. I know the mayor of Kokomo does it, shares City of Kokomo separate page. I think it would be if you had like the mayor, Andrew Durham trustee page and had it private. That's where I'd be
Well,
worried.
did you hear
Why couldn't
what
I say-
Lydia just said?
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense because I have a private Facebook page.
Right.
And that
I
means
think-
I couldn't share anybody's information.
I think where it becomes an issue is if you're using your private Facebook page as a purveyor or the main source of the township or the governmental information.
Mhm.
Whereas if you are posting it to like a township page, which is what we have here in Winfield Township, and then, if you were to share it from there, that's perfectly fine. But it can't originate there. Like you can't put township business is being conducted from there because then it does make your private account part of the government record, right? Because it's really it comes down to record retention most of the time. But that was always the guidance I got when working for other various units of government was that if you are putting original content about government, like inner workings or business on your Facebook page, they can claim it as a government Facebook page.
Oh boy, there are a lot of comments on this, so if you're not paying
I
attention
think
to
there
the
might be
chat,
some
there's,
wires
yeah.
crossed on that Facebook page because the ACLU posted this from June of 2021, and it's not exactly, I think, is what was being said. But there's a good document here on the ACLU of Indiana sues Franklin mayor for blocking individual from Facebook page. It's a little bit different than just using your page for communications.
Right. I think the point was that it was because he used that page to post city information that it was ruled he had to friend anyone onto that page.
That's not at all what the lawsuit says. You can
Oh,
read
okay.
the lawsuit.
Okay.
The lawsuit is that he blocked the individual from the page.
Mhm.
And by blocking him from the individual, that for sure is not acceptable. But he blocked him from the City of Franklin Mayor Steve Barnett page. That's why it was different. But it's detailed here in the ACLU's
Okay.
website. They state the case number there too. And the entire copy of the complaint is listed. Mayor Steve Barnett versus William Reynolds.
Okay.
And
Bob has had a lot to say. Bob, where are you? Bob? Okay.
you hear me, Debbie?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what I did. I'm worried if I try this again. I was trying to share the board meeting, but let's see if I can share the page. We'll give it a shot. Are you recording, Debbie?
Oh, yes.
I just want to make sure we have the backup.
Yeah,
As I talk about technology and making sure it tested out.
exactly. Exactly.
So this is just our township page. Our camera is wonky. I wouldn't advise it for anybody because it moves, it goes around. But I can see who's talking. Unfortunately, I don't even see people that aren't talking, but it's going to show it on our camera. But we have our page here. We posted our meetings. We've only had 2 meetings this year so far, but we posted both there. And we've had 11 meetings and more than I expected. But I'm doing this more just to $2,990,080 to practice it, to see which best setup it is. But I can see in this bottom section here, I can see my 3 board members, and then on the other side is my chief deputy, my finance officer, and myself. And usually the red on ours usually shows who's talking, and then if they talk, it moves them to that. Not saying you have to use it. This is just what we're trying. It sits in the middle of our table, and it picks up, basically off the mic who to point the main camera out. That way, somebody's not talking, and you can't see who that person is. That's just what we use, and that's what we're going to use until it doesn't work. We may try a different camera setup, but we're going to post here, and then we haven't done anything as far as posting our link because it's not required. So right now it's just we're archiving our meetings and having a recorded version. I'm all for it. I think the board meetings, for me, I mean, we record them anyways, typically on a hand recorder, but to go back and listen to some things that we discuss in our board meetings, I think it's great. Do I think it's interesting to the average citizen? Not at all. Maybe, depending on the meeting. This meeting, your first meeting of the year where they're electing them, they're talking about their investment summary or electing their board positions. Probably not the most exciting meeting, but it's there. So if your minutes are vague, at least you have the recorded version that sometimes have more than just the things that we write on our paper.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Hey,
after that, go ahead, Debbie.
Right. Several people have pointed out that IoT is a great place to work on getting a website. They're relatively inexpensive and they'll help you get going. Question is, how did you record the meeting, Drew? Do you buy a special camera or use your laptop?
So we have a township laptop that we use, but we have a camera extension that sits in the middle of the room. It's the name brand version would be an OWL. If anybody's ever used Zoom, we have like a off brand off of Amazon. It was about $600 for us to buy that, but we're going to use it just for our township board meetings. So that was just what did I want to put towards it, just for the camera, so that we had a picture, and I wanted to have something that wasn't just stationary, focused on the group of 5 or group of 6 of us that sit there. So if somebody from the public would be sitting there, the camera would include them and it would pick up on them speaking, so that we would have it recorded as well. And my last slide, Debbie, was just if there was questions, and we've had plenty of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I will check into the audio thing, but I think Jane said, I don't see it where it states audio is acceptable, just recording. In my interpretation of that, when they said that, was that you could just film it or record it, the video, and not have to actually do the process of live streaming the video.
Mm. Okay.
Or you go ahead, Debbie, if you want to read.
Oh, you're reading it. Go for it.
Where was the last question? I'll let you do it because I don't know where you're at.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't hear your answer. What kind of camera do you use?
It is, and I don't know the name of it. I couldn't tell you if I tried. It says like Cool Theo, but it's a lot like the OWL. If you look on Amazon, that's a very expensive version of it. We bought like the 50% less of the cost version of that, but essentially does the same thing. If somebody would like to know exactly what it is, just let me know or email me and I'll give you the link from Amazon. But we bought it last year, and that was the one I bought for ITA too, Debbie, is that for board
Oh,
meetings.
okay. Mm-hmm.
It's a good way for people to see the whole room instead of just a fixed camera.
Okay. And then Lori asked, and I think this is a clarification, can we record and not live stream and just have it available for people to watch?
Again, that what they say is if your internet or if you don't have good enough connection, you can do that, but that's going to be up to your discretion, I believe. I don't think they're going to come out and test your internet speed and said you lied by any means, but if you have the ability to live stream, I think it would be honestly the easiest way to do it, because like with my YouTube, once we hit stop, it's processing the video and records it. It's been recorded. But when I read when they were talking about it, I thought, it says if your internet connection would not suffice, you can record in lieu of live stream. But how are they going to know whose internet connection is sufficient for this? With all the units in Indiana, I don't think anybody is really taking the mantle of really overseeing this. Unfortunately, we just want to make sure we're in compliance.
Cody said in our last legislative briefing, someone mentioned that townships would be required to move to .gov email accounts. Has that been verified? And if so, when does that come into effect? I know it's true, but do you know when it's effective, Drew? Looking it up. Yeah, we have been given that word.
I think it's the same as
The same.
You don't have to have their website, but your email can stay the same, but it has to route through that in.gov domain. And that's how I understood it from Brett. When they came to conference last year, that's what he said to me, but I know a lot of people haven't moved on it just because it sounds like more work. I can get Brett on here next month if everybody would like, and he can talk to you about exactly when does this need to be done by, how much time does this take to, hold on one second, Debbie, I'm getting a call, and it's my wife, so I'm worried something's going on. Just a second.
Okay. Okay, the question is, so we should not use a personal laptop or cell phone to stream or record our meetings. I don't know if anyone has guidance on that. It's always been my understanding that if you do use personal devices, they are subject to open door. But like your personal cell phone, if you have texts or emails on there related to your business, to work with Township, those would be subject to open door law or FOIA requests. Drew, are you back?
I'm back, sorry. When your wife calls you the back-to-back call after you ignore the first one, you worry something's wrong with the kid or somebody says
Yeah.
she's not getting I'm busy right now.
Okay. Okay, so you were looking to see the effective date, I believe, of the .gov accounts, or did you give that one?
I have not, it's not spending time, but
Okay.
I'll just get Brett on the next month's Township talk. That way he can explain it better. He's explained it to me a couple times, and I'm just like, I have an email and have a website. I really don't want to port things over.
Yeah.
We have to, but I know there's a deadline that we have to all get over to that in.gov email.
Okay. Did you have anything else, Drew?
I do not, unless there's any other question. I just asked the IoT would process are supposed to assist everybody in getting that in.gov email address and domain.
Okay, so we will work to make that happen for next month. I'll let you wrap it up, Drew. I just wanted to remind everyone, legislative briefing tomorrow, same time, same place. And we'll, I think the link for legislative briefing, did that go out, Drew, or?
I'll send it out right after this meeting.
Oh, okay.
So if anybody has questions on this and they just want to email me or ask me, feel free. I'll put it in the chat. I get questions about it all the time, and I know we don't always have the answers everybody wants to hear, or there's something to it. Should you use your own personal phone or your personal laptop? I would have said I think you would have been okay, but it may not be okay now that you guys are saying that. But we're not getting guidance from any state agency, so we're trying to give you guys our knowledge, which unless there's a township out there that's been doing this already to give us some tips, we're going to have to learn this all together and kind of make it a best practice for townships, which are all, we're all different in our own means. So we wanted to make sure you guys know, we know everybody's trying to think about, hey, how do we do this? My advice is just to start trying stuff now before we get to July. Use the very limited scope of information we got. And then as if they say this isn't acceptable to use Facebook. Okay, I wasn't told that before. We've never had any defined approved websites for safety and access. YouTube doesn't work for me and I've been using it, I will gladly switch to another platform if they tell me to. But until then, nobody's telling us, other than that we have to record, there is nothing out there for us to find. And that maybe if you don't have good enough internet connection, you can record your videos for the meeting. We don't know if that's audio or video, but we're trying to get as much as we can, and everybody looks at us. We've asked IoT, we've asked SBOA, we've asked public access counselor, and it's like they threw this out there, and now, us and every other local government that doesn't do this is trying to figure out a way to do it
But they're
properly.
also saying that that's really not, not a great place and stuff to do it. See, that's what I mean, they're not.
Well, I have nothing more, Drew. You good?
I'm good.
Thank you all. I thought you were really engaged and had good questions and comments. Thank you.
They had good questions and comments, but nothing was really answered.
Oh, well, Phyllis, do you still have questions?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Misunderstood.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. As we get more information, we'll push it out to everybody, especially if we get some more clarification from public access counselor. And then I think at the State Board of Council, we'll probably talk about it a little bit more, but there's just going to be from a compliance stature, not from what you have to do as far as equipment.
All right.